It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name is Mike Royer.
And this week we're reviewing The Flash. Finally, it's out in theaters, folks. You can go watch
Lightning
it now.
sound effects here.
It was such a fast arrival to theaters, Mike. It was quite the opposite.
No, it wasn't. It took forever for it to come to
theaters.
theaters.
The opposite, yeah. Marvel shifts all of their movie dates. Ooh, so we're going to go one by one through those later. Star Wars and Avatar are actually both getting pretty good-looking video games coming out. We'll talk about those trailers and more.
Yeah, I swear every time that there's like news of like, oh, release date shifting, right? Or, is this like the biggest news of the week? Is this what I should put on our kind of image for this week's podcast? I'm just like, no, because I don't want to Photoshop like a dozen logos and all of these people into one thumbnail just for dates shifting. So thank God that there were some photos from the
Other
Netflix
things?
to dumb and trailers that came out over the weekend, which I didn't even know was happening. So that made things a lot easier on my end.
Yeah, absolutely. and we just have to reuse it again in 6 months when they change everything again. But I'm not that timeline I made. I'm not going and updating that timeline anymore, Mike. I just want to go ahead and put that out there, like that's done. But if you're already here and you want to know what those release dates are, you can head over to superheroslate.com and check out our upcoming movie and TV release schedule. I did update those immediately when these dropped. So if anyone is interested, you can go check those out. You don't have to wait to do that, but we do have time codes for everything in our show notes below. I'm going to go ahead and jump into what I've been doing this week, Mike, and it is not watching anything because my entire basement has been deconstructed where I would normally watch media at. And Mike's been getting photos of me finishing the floor. We talked about this a little bit last week. We did the vinyl flooring last week, and then we had the carpet and the theater area painted and redone this week. And everything was kind of finalized yesterday after the glue had dried for the transition pieces. So I am now back in that area. The only thing in my area right now is my recording studio. I'm like, we get this done, I'll be good to go. But I've not been able to watch anything because literally that entire system has been dismantled. But I was able to play some Xbox and some Diablo on my by moving my Xbox to like a little PC monitor. I think that's anything with HDMI it'll play. So I was able to do that a little bit this week to get some of that done. But overall, just a busy work week myself. But you took some of my advice and traveled down the fast lane, if you will, into a couple movies.
Chris, you give awful advice.
Yeah, I do.
I don't know why I keep putting myself through this franchise.
Love this. This is so good.
I can't stand the Fast and Furious movies.
Let me hold on. I'm gonna need a drink for this one. Let's go.
That better be a Corona, because that's the only thing.
Tastes just like family.
But I hate these movies. Like I don't know if I just can't quite make the transition into the proper fast lane on the highway where I can enjoy these as dumb movies. I just can't. There's no redeeming quality to these. But the only reason I keep going back to them is just because they're always in the zeitgeist, right? They're always popular, and sometimes I just need something to throw on the TV to get angry about, right? So but I was trying to give it the benefit of the doubt because lo and behold, Fast X is essentially like a sequel to what most people considered the best Fast movie, which is Fast 5, and I had never seen Fast 5. So I went back and I watched a movie. I knew it was supposed to be a heist movie. I always like heist movies, right? And this basically, it just barely clears the bar of being a competent movie, in my opinion. Like Fast 5
go back
is
10
the
years
best.
ago, it was pretty okay. I'll tell you that.
Fast 5 is the best only because of the company that it keeps, right? Like, it's kind of cool that they pulled like the safe out of the wall at the very end, but I feel like they don't even like telegraph that super well. In a sense of like, well, were they always going to pull it straight out of the wall? Was that a desperation attempt? So even like the coolest part of the movie, they don't really like build you up to it in the best way. They just kind of rip the safe out of the wall. It's the final act is kind of cool when they're pulling the safe and they're like ramming it into cars. At least that's like a clever thing to do with it. Even though for the life of me, I can't imagine this happening, right? That safe is very angular, lots of hard corners. Like in any universe, that thing would just dig right into the ground and they wouldn't go anywhere. So yes, of course, some sense of
suspend your disbelief a minute
suspend
here.
my disbelief.
Because you're going to have to suspend it even further.
Oh my God. They ask so much of the audience as these movies go on, because I watched Fast 10 and there are some similarities that go back to Fast 10, even with Dom pulling stuff behind his car. He pulls like 2 helicopters, which is just absolutely insane that 2 helicopters can't easily just pick up his car. But no, if he drives hard enough, that car is going to stick to the highway. It's the thing.
Funny. He's
like,
so fun.
It's I would say the best part about these movies is they're fun to talk about in hindsight, even though I'm not having any fun watching them. John Cena is a delight just because he is a delight in anything that he's in. So it's fun to watch him in these movies. But of course, like those scenes are few and far between.
Because you have like 20 people as the main cast.
There's just weird things that they focus on too. Like, okay, they smuggle this kayak onto the plane so John Cena can turn the kayak into a plane. Obviously silly and ridiculous, but I can imagine something comparable or even similar, right, happening in a Mission Impossible movie. But why do they go out of the way to take the 3 little vodka bottles and go on a little spiel of just like, oh, fuel and oxygen, we need that extra boost and it doesn't even like come into play. It's just this weird addition that they throw into the script for like literally no reason. So just bizarre decisions like that just drive me crazy.
Wait, are you talking about Pete Davidson being the only American in a British-run, computer store?
The Pete Davidson section was hilarious because I feel like they built that whole segment in a way of you could entirely remove it from the movie and it makes no difference. Like they go into this black market, right, to get some guns and some cars, and they don't get the guns and the cars, but they don't even get a lead for where they should go next. Like literally nothing transpires from that scene. Like all it does is they got a Pete Davidson cameo that maybe they were able to throw him in a couple trailers. Like literally nothing happens from that scene at all. You could entirely remove it. And because I don't even think when they go to it, like they even say like, oh, we're going to visit Pete Davidson. Like you could just take them right to Jason Statham, like right after that scene. And it's like they egregiously do the thing that I hate the most about that sequel of the Kingsman movie, where like the Kingsman was fun. Yeah, there was like gadgets and stuff that were like technologically advanced and they were silly and wacky. But in the second one, they take it way off the cliffs to unbelievable. And all of everything that happens in Fast 10 is utterly unbelievable, and it totally takes me out of the movie.
The problem is you jump
it.
from Fast 5 to 10 when you need to watch them. They stair step you up into the unbelievable, right?
Yes,
like,
I suppose there was some whiplash indeed, but
because you're going from like Paul Walker being alive and The Rock being on good terms with everybody to literally like the complete opposite of all that.
And then like I just saw all these headlines leading up to me watching Fast 10. We're like, oh my God, Jason Momoa, what an interesting performance, what a standout, what a unique character. And it's like he's just being Jason Momoa. Like, have you people never watched Aquaman? He's just playing Aquaman. He's just playing himself in like a slightly eviler tone. Like that's all it is. They put the purple suit on him and now he's goofy looking.
The thing I hate the most about his performance is like the how the movie starts. Like right, they do where they CGI him, they flashback. He was in Fast 5 the whole time, right? But like that version of him is like mean and like purpose driven, and then the one in the present is like completely the opposite of that. I'm like,
yeah, he's like goofy. Like, are you trying to get revenge for your dead father, or are you just a goofster?
Yeah,
it was just so odd. And then like I feel like, aren't these movies making a lot of money? Aren't these movies like supposed to have good visual effects in some way? They are so bad. They are straight up just taking drone shots and then dropping CG cars into them, and it looks really bad. Like, at least for Fast 5, I'll give it credit. There might have been some CG cars in there, but they use them few and far between. It all looks very real. Even when Dom is towing a safe behind him and ramming it into people, at least it's somewhat believable. But yeah, it just looks like Matchbox cars with very loose physics, and like the suspensions are like going freaking crazy on these cars. It's just like, I hate these movies, but I don't know why I want to watch another one.
Right.
Probably just to complain on this show.
I love a good hate watch for these movies because they're so stupid. They're so silly.
The acting is so bad. And I know that's not what this movie's for, but at least watching it at home on my own pace, I just straight up, once I got about like halfway through the movie, I just started fast forwarding through any dialogue scene. I was just like, just get me to the next action set piece, or get me to the next John Cena segment. I will press play if I see John Cena.
The problem is this movie feels like no one ever is talking to anybody, nor are they in the same room. Like, right, like everyone, like it's just reaction shots and another reaction shot, and no one's ever in the same room at the same time. It's just like if they had them, if they were together like they were like in the earlier Fast movies, and Vin Diesel didn't think he was above everybody, it might be a better film. But you know, if the best part of these movies, if you die in these movies, guess what? You get to come back to life. So I fully expect the 11th Fast 10 Part 2 to go extremely balls to the wall and bring everybody back to life.
Yeah, before we jump into our normal news, which we have a lot of, I'm sorry for delaying everybody on this movie. There are two things that I actually thought were hilarious in this movie that I thought were fun. And both happened towards the end, where Dom is about to get sandwiched by two gasoline trucks, and he tells Jason Momoa, "You made one mistake.
You didn't take my car."
You didn't take my car. And it's just like, oh God. But then at the very end, we got to see The Rock say "some bitch," which is just...
He very specifically, emphatically said "some bitch." Like,
yeah. Like, but, which if you're confused, it was the shortened version of "son of a bitch," but it's just so funny. Like, I almost just wish they would just fully relinquish reality in a way and just go totally silly. Like, these films almost need that, like, Taika Waititi tongue-in-cheekness, right? They need the silliness injected into it because I can't take this seriously at all. So I'll leave it there. Stay tuned for whenever the next Fast movie comes out, and then amend a couple weeks or a month onto it when I actually get around to seeing it.
The currently sitting at $7.2 billion franchise. So,
you can afford better CGI cars. Come on.
Yeah. So, I mean, the production budget, however, for Fast 10 is twice what Fast 9 was. And that, my guess, again, remember Justin Lin, he like walked off the movie like a week into filming this, and they got the other guy. So I'd be interested to see, like, I think the lack of Justin Lin is what makes this that much worse, right? Because it's essentially Vin Diesel just telling the director what to do because he can't direct the movies. But like, you know, it's just, I can watch and laugh at it, and that's why I'm like, this is so stupid. I'm gonna laugh at you all day long because this is so ridiculous. He's taking himself too seriously. But we have two more at least coming, right? Remember the Luke Hobbs movie? He's got his goatee back at the end. You see his little goatee back at the end?
Yes, it was great.
And Fast 10 Part 2 or Fast 11. So Mike's got more of these to live through at the end of the day. And that's going to be the fun part. But that's not the only long-running franchise we're going to be talking about today as well, Mike. We've got some news about some long-running franchises down here. That will be like 22 years between like 5 movies. So, but first and foremost, we got to the theaters this week, and we got to see The Flash. And I got to see it again. Mike got to see it for the first time. So we last week I kind of gave my early reactions to the movie, but I'll redo it here again. But since I got to go first last week, I'm gonna pass the baton over to Mike, where he can talk about the movie. But if you want to hear about his movie going experience, you should head over to the review episode and listen to that before spoilers. It was out spoiler free, because that is going to be something that just really grind your gears, if you will. Steamed as broccoli, a phrase we haven't used in years over here on the show.
Indeed. Well, I will keep my review quick because, Chris, I just counted the bullet points. We have 28 individual segments of news this week, and I wasted 15 minutes talking about the Fast franchise. So I will talk about the Flash franchise if there even is one moving forward. But overall, I liked the movie. Extremely hard to recommend since there is so much asked of the audience when it comes to cameos, previous iterations of other characters, previous franchises which are half dead. We don't know where the character is going to be in the future. We don't know if this is a Shazam 2 situation where the box office is determining if we get to see more of this universe or not. But if somehow you can strip all of that away, what you're left with at least was an entertaining time with some standout moments that I think could be held up on their own. It's always fun to watch a speedster transcend onto the big screen with a big budget. We've seen it before in Marvel and X-Men movies, so it's welcome to see it more here again. So I had a good time, but hard to recommend, so I don't know where that leaves you. Obviously, if you're listening to this show, I think you probably have an idea of how all of this universe works, so go give it a watch. I think it's fun, but we just don't know how much is going to be left behind, so it's kind of hard to take it a little seriously, which is a bit unfortunate. But soft recommend, I guess. Chris, over to you.
I would say it's the second best multiversal movie this month that hit theaters. Because I think Spider-Man, if you had to choose between two movies to watch this one, Spider-Man's at the top of this. Again, I think I said that last week. But that doesn't make this a bad movie. It doesn't make it a great movie either. I think it's just right in the middle of there are some really good moments. There are some really, to me, and we talked about this in spoilers on the review, some moments I'm like, makes no sense, and you could have literally just done a better movie at the end of the day for some of these parts. But overall, like I said, it exists. It happened. I didn't walk away offended. The second time I actually had a better time. Again, just kind of eating my Twizzlers and drinking from my Flash collectible cup in the movie theater rather than worrying about it. So watching it as a fan instead of a reviewer, if you will, or whatever we do for the show, I had a much better time to just kind of let go and do that. I think some highlights include Ezra Miller. Either, like I said, either separate the artist from the art, or you can't. If you can, Ezra Miller, they are a great Flash. They do a great job in this, playing multiple versions of him, and really sells the emotional stakes of this film. So there are some really standout moments, but there are some remnants, if you will, of the previous versions that are just kind of shake my head at the whole time through. So. Again, I think Mike, soft recommend if you know and you think you can handle it, go for it. If not, wait till it hits streaming before you know it. And I think that's kind of indicative of the box office, right? We talked a little bit about that. It's only making $55 million this weekend, but it does have another weekend to kind of clear that because I don't think there's any other movie coming to theaters next week, right? Indiana Jones is 2 weeks, so it may be able to clear a little more money here in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we have Asteroid City from Wes Anderson, but I can't, that's not exactly going to be
Elemental.
Super. Yeah, which is performing extremely weakly right now.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, we got Oppenheimer, we got Barbie, we got Indiana Jones coming up. If it doesn't
Mission
recoup
Impossible.
Something, if it doesn't recoup something the second week, I mean, they're fighting an uphill battle.
Yeah, I think you can watch it and not worry about how tomorrow is going to look for the Flash and just watch it itself, because currently the status of the DCU is Blue Beetle is technically what James Gunn is saying is the first DCU movie, right, at the end of the day. So I believe that's August. So we will have a DCU movie. What does that mean for Aquaman in the future? I don't know, but by God, keep coming back and we'll keep talking about them as they keep throwing them at us. So if you want to know more, listen to the first half of our review episode, and you can always use the time codes to stay away from spoilers if you haven't watched it yet as well. On the same side of this, the director of The Flash, Andy Muschetti, has been, in fact, confirmed to be tapped to direct the Batman Brave and the Bold movie, Mike. So that's a plus, right? I think Andy Muschetti, he did a great job in this movie. I don't blame the director at all for any decisions in this movie. I think he did a wonderful job with what he was given and how it all played out. So I think he'll be good for the upcoming movie with Batman and his son.
Yeah, we briefly talk about this in our spoiler section for our Flash review, so if you want to check that out, go listen to that in our feed. But yeah, I think this is a good sign. I'm looking to see where this goes in the future with Andy Muschetti. I think he's a talent, and it'd be great to see him approach something that doesn't have a bunch of legacy, tailwinds attached to it. So Batman the Brave and the Bold. It is exciting. It seems to be a unique cinematic version of Batman, right? We've had that version of Batman, father and son, in the comic books before, so I'm looking forward to see how it transcends to the screen.
Yeah, absolutely, and a lot of potential. So, congratulations to him, and we hope to see more of that information as they kind of go through the casting and writing process. Also in the same vein of Batman the Caped Crusader, the animated version that was announced a couple years ago at Comic-Con, that was denied by Max but picked up at Amazon. Apparently this animated series is everything Bruce Timm had wanted to do in the original series, the original Batman the animated series, but because it was on a kids network, he couldn't do everything, so this skews older and is more of his full vision, is what we've been told.
I mean, I don't hate hearing that.
The animated series classic, people love it, holds up 20 years later, so to see this continuation and have I wouldn't say darker, but like you said, more adult oriented show, I think it's fantastic for Batman to do that. I will say the one thing I hate about every Batman in the movies right now, Mike, for the past 20 years, is that he's not a detective anymore. He's just someone with gadgets who fights people. Like I miss Detective Batman, right? And thankfully we had not Gotham, Arkham games to get us through the detective pieces. But I really want to see a good Detective Batman. So maybe this animated series will really bring that to the forefront as well. But on the flip side of Gotham, the bad side is that Gotham Knights has been canceled on the CW after its first season. We knew there were two shows and one was on the chopping block, right? Gotham Knights was cheaper to make but less views, and we'll talk about the other one here in a second. But apparently a revival is impossible for Gotham Knights, probably due to the DC character rights. Like Netflix can't come buy this show up, right? And renew it because they want to keep the DC rights over it on the Max streaming service, or as much. Well, the animated stuff, I guess, but the live action, they probably don't want to muck that around a bit. So I think they're just going to nix this completely after the first season. So you sound sad. I'm sorry for your loss, Mike. I know you're speechless.
Weeping.
Yeah, I know. And then quickly, we're going to shift into Superman and Lois, the show on CW. The other one has been renewed for a shorter season 4 for 10 episodes. I think it normally runs 13. So like this isn't like tragic. Like it's not like 22 down to 10. This is like just a couple episodes. So this is fine. My guess is the last season, if I'm going to take a bet on this right now. But
yeah, if I was the showrunner, I would be like, let's plan these scripts as if we could end it.
Yeah, and most of the recurring cast outside of the Kent household have been lowered to guest appearances rather than recurring roles.
Yeah, that's one way to cut the budget.
Yeah, absolutely. So the cast is down, episode count's down. But overall, I've heard really good things about the show. I can't sit here and point fingers at it and be like, haha, you suck. I've heard really good things, and this take on Superman has been really good. I just... it's the CW no longer wants to focus on the remnants of the Arrowverse. They want to do the non-scripted television. So this will hopefully go out with a good note rather than a soft note. In surprising news, and I might have shared this with you earlier this week, I don't remember. I told a couple of people, but The Incredible Hulk is now on Disney Plus for the first time ever, Mike. So that means you can actually start a pretty good watch on everything Marvel, right? I think No Way Home is like maybe the only missing movie on there right now, and that might even be on there at this point. But this is the distribution of the Incredible Hulk has always been with Universal since its release. However, reports, this is good news, that Disney's original deal with Universal is now over because it was a 15-year limit, and the Incredible Hulk released in June 8th or June 13th, 2008, Mike. So that means the Incredible Hulk movies could be coming back to Marvel. Maybe an announcement at Comic-Con next month.
There we go. We might finally get that Planet Hulk,
that
World War Hulk, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Really flesh out that side of things a little bit more.
Absolutely. I think this is a big win. I'm sad it took 15 years. It doesn't feel like 15 years. Now I say that, I feel like an old person. But the Incredible Hulk is a movie they don't talk about. Again, Edward Norton was recast in the Avengers, but a lot of those actors and actresses have carried over into the MCU proper, right? Blonsky, General Ross, Betty Ross will be in upcoming Captain America. So really, really glad that people can now just watch it when they want to on Disney Plus with the full
It's
thing.
crazy to think that we've been at the MCU for quite a while now, and it feels like they would have mined everything. But no, we still have like a ton of Hulk to get into. Haven't touched the Fantastic Four. We haven't seen their interpretation of X-Men yet.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot to dive into.
Yeah, absolutely. And they are really, we'll talk about actually in two bullet points about what the focus is kind of going forward here. But as a reminder, and I told Mike this maybe at the top of the show, maybe outside of before we were sure, but Secret Invasion is on Disney Plus this Wednesday already. It is going to be here before we know it. So I'm excited to dive back into this Skrull/Nick Fury movie, or I guess TV show, because I miss Nick Fury. He is such a tell you like it is kind of guy, right? He is, at this point on Wednesday, he will be the longest actor running in Marvel because he was in the first Iron Man in the end credits scene. So any hopes you want to see out of this before we swap on the topics here? Because
I just hope it's good.
Yeah,
that's all. I just want it to be good.
Yeah,
that's all I want.
I do too. At six episodes is pretty good. What I really would like to do, and this is going to sound, very contrary to normal, in a 6-episode show, I kind of wish I had the ability to just binge it. Like longer ones, like 13 episodes, 10, I don't want to do that. Maybe even 8's too much. But like 6, I'm like, boy, I bet it's a lot. I bet this show's a lot better when you're just going to blast through it in like one day. And like doing the one a week, I think it might, we might be we'll have too much time to poke on anything where we see the seams more than anything. So hopefully it's good. And in regards to the Incredible Hulk and this Secret Invasion coming up, Marvel has updated their Disney Plus banner for it only includes Phase 4 characters. So the original Avengers are out, Mike, on the banner. Only Phase 4 plus characters are making an appearance up here if they have a project in there. So
I tell you what, when you look at this banner for the first time, finally encapsulating this newest phase, and it doesn't give me positive vibes, right? There's so many like dips and lulls. It's like a roller coaster ride going through this most recent phase. So looking forward to this image getting kind of like holistically updated as we move further down the line.
I think, to me, I think there are these are great looks for the characters, right? Iconic. And I think these characters they chose are highlights. I would probably, and this is nothing against Black Panther, I don't think, Shuri's Black Panther to me sticks out. Brie Larson has only really been an in-credit queen for this phase because she hasn't had a movie yet, right? So, and that's an old Nick Fury photo. I wish it was a more Nick Fury. But everybody else, I like their costumes. I like their outfits. And really kind of sad that there's no Guardians in here after the success they've had, right, this past month.
Yeah. I tell you what, we... I don't remember exactly what my overall vibe was for Wakanda Forever when we reviewed it back when it came out, but I haven't thought about that movie once. Yeah. I feel like since we reviewed it, and I don't think that's a good sign for it. It just did not have much staying power. I think we both agreed it did a good job for what it had to deal with in real world scenarios. So I won't hold that over them, but like I don't see anybody talking about the ramifications of that movie at all. I don't know if just the algorithm's not putting it in front of me on social media, but nobody talks about it.
We've had nothing that deals with it. I think that's the problem, right? Like literally we went from Black Panther to Ant-Man to Guardians, and now we're getting the Secret Invasion. So like, again, if we look at the old release, the Bob Chapek release schedule, put something out, we probably would have dealt with it, but like there's nothing at all, right? Like literally radio silence for how Black Panther does anything. It's a very fitting movie dealing with emotion and grief and loss. But, I would also say Shang-Chi, one of the best movies of Phase 4, we haven't done anything with the rings or him since then. Like, where are these characters? I would have literally replaced probably Black Panther maybe and put up an Eternal just to mess with people, because people like I hear more about people still bitching or standing up for the Eternals 2-3 years later than I do Black Panther at this point. So I had to put something in there, but I am excited to see where we're going, and we're going to talk about these release schedule changes in a second, because I think that might reflect maybe not the focus, but we'll talk about some other stuff here in a second. Before that, though, Scarlett Johansson says she's still producing that undisclosed project that was announced like right after the Black Widow fiasco on Disney Plus. So,
all right.
Apparently, it's currently on hold with the writer's strike and the upcoming SAG-AFTRA strike. But she said it was moving along until it was, put on hold for those reasons. They're not working on it during that. So, good for them. I'm excited to see what it is. Do you think it's like a Black Widow's, like a Yelena solo movie that we haven't announced yet? Like, I feel like it's got to be that.
Yeah, if you go with the most probably obvious one, have her produce something that she's already been attached to story-wise. But who knows? Maybe she just wants to do something wholly, not original, but original from her origin.
Maybe she's doing the Sentry one-shot, Mike.
Ooh, a one-shot? Yeah, that she could do one-shot.
Yeah, I think that'd be interesting, right? Like a little 40-minute kind of thing. So we'll keep you guys posted on that. But here it comes. The release dates have changed for literally almost all of Phase 5 and 6 movies, and I think this is a twofold thing, Mike. One, I believe this has to do with Bob Iger spacing out the movies so they're financing these things separately on each calendar year, fiscal year, right? That was his plan, right? We're gonna move these movies so we're not spending all this money every fiscal year on all these movies and not getting the returns. And B, literally 2 out of 3 strikes are about, one's happening, one's about to happen. A lot of these are probably going to get delayed because of that. So I think they're preemptively delaying them. Hopefully now that gets worked out. Any thoughts on that?
I mean that makes. We knew when Iger was coming back. He said it when he returned, and even Kevin Feige said something to the effect of we're gonna spread these out more. There's too much. The cadence is too intense for audiences, and I feel like you can see that's exactly Chapek wanted to do the opposite. I'm the new CEO. I want
more is better is his.
Yeah,
his
I want to
goal.
see bigger returns. I want to make my I want to plant my flag in the ground for my career as CEO, and it just didn't work out because the quality dropped. Which it is kind of nice to see, right? The actions of a poor decision come to fruition, even though it possibly ruins some movies for us, right? At least we get to see, you can't always rush art, which sometimes is humbling to see, right? Even though as much as, a corporation would love to see a machine make everything, to move towards the theoretical future where nobody has a job anymore and it's nothing but 100% return on investment, right? Yeah. It is kind of nice to see it's still Hollywood. It's still at the root at the end of the day. There is art in it at some point in time.
And the movies made money, but you got to listen to everybody else, right? The critical and some audience, they're out there listening and doing feedback, but you're right. To me, the more I'm into to work in business, the more I'm oh, this is literally, you have to finance these movies, right? Through your board, and have to show your results within the same quarter. And they're they were just spending so much money so quickly that looks bad, right? When Bob Iger's I had to come in and save $5 billion, you're oh, okay, well, how you gonna? Well, we'll space out our spending over years, and we're gonna talk about some more expensive movies probably down the road as well. But let's jump into this. I think we have some good news. How about the good news first? Is that Deadpool 3 has moved up to May 3rd, 2024. It was actually not delayed in this thing. It actually benefited by being moved up to May 3rd. So
yeah, I feel like it's just one of those scenarios where they got lucky with the production cycle, where they had the script done before this writer's strike came through. Of course, we've seen the headlines that Ryan Reynolds is not allowed to improvise on set, right? Yeah. But as we know, as soon as that mask goes on, you can improvise as much as you want in post-production. Which the writer's strike would need to be over for them to do that, because you can't write in post-production with a strike going on as well. But, if everything goes kind of according to previous timelines, the Deadpool movie should hopefully be back on track. So... Yeah, it's conveniently timed out.
And they're also low lift productions, right? Deadpool 2, they were able to turn those around pretty quickly, right, on those. So I don't have any fear on that. So that's good that was moved up. So that is going to kick off summer next year. But on the flip side, that original spot was owned by Captain America New World Order, which we just got the new title for and a release date last week, has now been delayed till August of next year, 2024. So that will come in the fall. Thunderbolts then by default is shifted back further to December 20th, 2024, being only the second movie to grace a holiday period, by the way, for Marvel, if you didn't know that. That also shifts Blade, yet again, this movie is never going to see the light of day, I think, at this rate, to February 14th, 2024. Why not take your special one to see Blade on Valentine's Day, Mike? I mean, there's going to be so many like red candies and kisses and fangs and all this other fun stuff out there to promote this. So Blade, February 14th, 2025. That pushes Fantastic Four to May 2nd, 2025. So these are all just kind of taking each other's place, right? You know, standard domino falls, takes the next one's place. However, this is where things really get interesting. Avengers, Kang Dynasty, which is May 2nd, 2025, has been shifted a whole year into May 1st, 2026. So that is wild to be kicked back a whole year, right? When that was originally taken by Secret Wars.
Yeah, but it looks like the gap between Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars has maintained the same. Yeah, so it's not like they're theoretically trying to fit more content in between those.
Yeah, they're actually so Avengers Secret Wars was pushed back from 2026 to May 7th, 2027. So a whole nother year. So they're going to keep that. And really, it was supposed to be Fantastic Four in the Kang Dynasty, and then a bunch of other unannounced projects. Remember when we saw the unreleased schedule there, or the schedule? I believe it was at some sort of convention. And they were like, oh, we got some other stuff we'll announce later. Wink, wink, hint, hint. So this is actually spaced things out a bit. So my theory is those other movies in there will also be spaced out quite a bit.
It's so wild to imagine that we're going to be like kind of in the exact same spots here in 4 years talking about Secret Wars. Like, we got a lot more episodes of Superhero Slate to come.
Yeah, we just got renewed for 4 more years. I'm gonna say we actually got renewed for 8 more years when we get down to another topic down below. So I love when we get these renewal notices. They just come in and we're not expecting them, and they just pop in, and there we go. So overall, I think this is not a concern for quality for anybody. I think this is we have a writer's strike. We have an upcoming actor strike. We also need to space out our releases. So I think this will be a quality enhancer overall for Marvel.
I think it'll affect the quality for sure. I mean, at the risk of stealing a very, very, very bad phrase that I've hated for a lot of years now, make Marvel great again. I mean, it's I hate the connotations of it, but at least that's the vibe in my head of just like, it's been a while since I've been in a movie theater and had like the feelings that I've had of previous Marvel movies back in the day. And maybe like I'll never get that vibe back. Maybe that was just a certain chapter in my life when these movies were still relatively fresh and hitting just right. But they need to pivot a little bit, and hopefully this time will give them the ability to do that.
Yeah, and I think hopefully they don't have, again, I think when you rush something and you just have to stick it, like we have to make a release date, that's where your problems come in, right? Like everyone knows in their own work lives or their home lives, you got to get done by X date, and you just got to, whatever it is you do the best you could to get there. And I think this gives them some time to breathe, react, and kind of take in maybe some more advice throughout the way. So really hope to see a lot of these come together. I still think Secret Wars has the potential for being 2 movies. So maybe we'll hear more about that at Comic-Con or later down the road. We'll keep everyone posted as you subscribe to Superhero Slate every week. On the same note, Sony has gone ahead and secured November 8th, 2024 and June 27th, 2025 for some unannounced Marvel films. These were just announced very recently, maybe today or yesterday. But November 2024 is likely Venom 3 at this rate. And Spider-Man 4 is likely that June date for 2025. So both of these are set to open in IMAX no matter what they are. So I think that's a pretty solid guess on those two, right? Sony doesn't. I forget. We know Kraven's coming this year, but I forget Madam Web's in production. But good God, save us all from that. Yeah, absolutely, those two greats. But speaking of Kraven, I sent this photo to you earlier this week, right? I believe that our first image of Aaron Taylor Johnson as Kraven has leaked online from the preview they showed at CinemaCon.
Yeah. mean, not much to go off of here, to be honest. He's just kind of wearing a leather vest, just
like
it's Aaron
a
Taylor Johnson,
Kraven, like kind of proto Kraven outfit a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, doesn't quite have the iconic kind of lion's mane collar, which I would say gives him his comic book look, but the character's got something to gravitate towards, right? That third act where they finally put on the costume that they're iconic for, and everyone in the audience cheers.
Third
for the
act,
iconic character.
This will be post credits knowing Sony, right? But it's he seems to be standard Kraven. He's got like some sort of tooth necklace around his neck. He's got his like scruffy bearded hair. Aaron Taylor Johnson is a great actor. I don't have any problem with him. I assume the script is probably going to be mostly the problem here. But I was really hoping we get the scene of him ripping the nose off somebody with his teeth that they said was in the trailer. But alas, we get this PG image instead of the R-rated images that we all wanted to see from this trailer. And speaking of Kraven, he's going to be a staple in the upcoming Spider-Man 2 video game, but also this week, the developers have come out and said the game includes Queens and Brooklyn in Spider-Man 2, doubling the previous map size, Mike. Not just was it Queens that we talked about, but they added Brooklyn as well. So
yeah, that's sick. I mean, I guess if you think about it, they could obviously have a team that does polishes of the main map of Manhattan, and I'm curious if the map of Manhattan grows in any way, or if the streets and everything still stay exactly the same.
It has changed. There are new people. Someone did a review of the gameplay demo, like the location. So like the fish market in the trailer for 2 is not in the original one. So they've actually added some new stuff in there and everything.
Yeah, that's great. So just adding more is awesome. That's great. That's exactly what I want to see. I see here that you have the pre-orders are now available for this game, and I would just, even though this probably would be one of the safer games to pre-order, I feel like it's never a good idea to pre-order a video
never
game.
seen a game pre-order 4 months in advance. For me, I obviously you can go pre-order any game that's been announced at like a GameStop or something, but like this is on like you go to the Sony store and you can pre-order it like on their.
They must be confident that they're going to hit that release date, which is good, and I hope that they do.
Yeah, my guess is the game's probably done. They're just polishing it at this point. They're like, hey, look, we know where it is, because you can get the regular version, the digital deluxe, which we talked about the costumes last week, so you can go listen to last week's episode, or you can buy the $230 one with the Venom statue with Miles and Peter around the Venom statue. I think that statue looks pretty cool, but we haven't seen any Venom gameplay. I'm very excited to learn more about this game at the end of the day, but that's not the only game we talk about. We got some more. But let's take a trip over to Pandora, Mike. My wife has been putting on Avatar: The Way of Water while we've been going to bed the past week. And good
blue
Lord.
Blue pilled.
No, it's because it's new on Disney Plus and it's new on Max. So if you want to watch it, you can check it out there. I will say it doesn't feel like, I don't feel the variable frame rates on my home TV like we did in theaters. So I need to go check those scenes specifically. But the effects do hold up pretty good, I will say, for like a streaming service, because like normally they reduce the quality just a hair for that. It does hold up on the streaming. But with Disney, they've gone out and say that the Avatar sequels are the schedule we had before has been delayed quite, I guess, I don't know, like a lot, because Avatar 3 is now coming out December 19th, 2025 instead of 2024. But they've already filmed this movie, Mike. This is like 2 years of polish, or like a year and a half of polish left in this movie they get to play with. So we're going to be seeing visuals like we've never seen before in 2025.
I mean, there are some gigantic gaps here between 3 and 4 and 4 and 5. 4 years?
Yeah, so Avatar 4
calendar years between Avatar 3 and 4.
So Avatar 4 is December 21st, 2029. And it's interesting because they've filmed the first, I think, act of Avatar 4 already, because they're kids and they're jumping forward in time in the fourth one, right? They're going to age them up. So they still have to film that. But, I mean, that is 6 years, six and a half years from now. Like, to film this movie.
I'm just trying to think of what like live action characters are left, and I can only think of like Spider, because I guess you could just bring in like new military grunts for each film and have like a new foil. But like that guy that plays Spider, You expect them to be around until 2031?
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
Avatar 5 is
that's
2031. So my guess is
It's
with
one
being
long-ass contract.
only 2 years between these, the shortest between any of these movies, they're probably filming 4 and 5 back to back, like literally at the same time.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, if I liked Avatar 2, so if time is what it takes to give me quality, I'm on board for it.
Exactly.
But, like,
we just talked about this with Marvel, right? Time is quality. Hopefully it applies here.
I mean, I guess James Cameron proved that like time gaps are not going to stop the audience, right? I mean, there was a decade between the first one and the second one, right?
Yeah.
And audiences still showed up. So yeah, there's a long term. This definitely explains a lot of long term decisions of like why they're bringing like Pandora.
Yes.
To other parks and stuff like that at Disneyland. So
so 22 years between the first and the fifth movie on this mic total is what the math was. That's why I mentioned that earlier. So
I mean, I would love to see Cameron finally get to his glasses-free 3D at some point in time. I don't know which movie it comes to. Do we not get it until 2031? But that would be fun.
Well, I think the movies could probably do it. It's the theaters that can't, right? So we gotta create he needs to give up on that, like give Avatar to somebody else and be like, all right, I'm gonna go work with theaters to make this technology work now. But I think Avatar 3 already being filmed and giving like another year and a half is to me is 2.5 years is a little crazy because like I said, they've already done it, like, right? They filmed 1, 2, and 3 at the same time. So I'm interested to see how good this looks and how much they're changing it, because the theory is they're going to the Fire Nation equivalent Na'vi in the next one. So really, really excited to see what those look like. And we've also heard that maybe Avatar 5 goes back to Earth. So maybe that's why they can film it quicker, because it's less CG at the end of the day. Like, we got humans here. We don't have to worry about the Na'vi all the time.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
But it's revisiting Way of Water on streaming. It's fun. It is a good movie. No complaints at all. But it does. It's just that movie is like. It's a very long movie, a lot of different moving pieces, and it's not a bad thing. It's high quality. But on the flip side, guess what? If you want to go to Pandora yourself, you can visit it later this year with Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, the new video game from Ubisoft, launching in December of this year. The trailer puts you in the body of looks like maybe an adopted Na'vi who was being I guess trained by humans, right? Because you only have the 4 fingers, not the 5.
It's an interesting way into the story, right? Because like all video games, you have to start your character with no knowledge of the world or the tools or the controls, so you can kind of adapt to it. And they found an interesting way to do that, I thought, with the story of the humans kidnap a young Na'vi, and then they train them in the human ways, so they know nothing of their own human world, but then there's an attack, and then they get trapped in like some sort of cryo sleep. Yeah,
so the initiating, I guess, thing in this game is Avatar 1, like when they start attacking their way home. So then they put you in cryo sleep for 15 years. And I was like, oh, so okay, that's where Avatar 2 is. So
so thus you emerge and you are a stranger in your own land. So I think that is pretty clever. I'm hoping that this is the type of thing that James Cameron has a watchful eye over. I can't imagine he would greenlight a video game with his precious world. Definitely a AAA game for sure. It doesn't just seem like a random licensing agreement. So I'm hoping that the quality is there. The gameplay looks fun. Yeah. I am a huge fan of bow and arrow camp raiding action. That's basically all I do in the Far Cry games.
This is
a bow.
I put this in my notes. It's like I was like, this looks like Far Cry. This looks a lot like Far Cry, like on an alien world, but also like Halo, but from the alien point of view, because you're like, the humans, you're fighting the humans in the military. You're taking down their choppers. You're getting one of the banshees to ride on. It looks very fun. Like you're very guerrilla warfare-ish.
It looks like it's set up as an open world, but I'm curious how open. Like obviously, it doesn't seem like it's going to be the entire planet of Pandora. So, and also, I don't think Cameron wants to spoil different areas because we do highlight some different biomes, but we don't, like you said, we don't see that Fire Nation biome necessarily because we don't want to spoil that.
Yeah, it looks to be like regions from the first 2 movies, right? The forest and then the water, because there's a part where they're like communing with the water tree, if you will. So it looks like it's going to be that, because 2023, great, that's a year after 2 came out. The next movie's not coming out for 2 more years. That's enough time to put out another game. Like, they're not going to expansion pack Avatar 3. They're gonna be like, all right, here's another game in 2 years.
But I mean, like, it looks like there's different mounts, there's lots of things to do. I mean, it is kind of crazy to look at these kind of 2 Avatar segments in our show and go, like, if everything goes exactly how they planned, like, the Avatar's already big, this could make it absolutely gigantic, right? This could be like the next this could be like the next, like, Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm not trying to jump the gun here. Everything has to go exactly how they want, but they're definitely not treading lightly into this. They're like, we want to make this a juggernaut, and I would say I appreciate just the attention to, let's make a good AAA game. Let's not just farm this license out so they can whip up like some random Avatar stuff.
Yeah, well, exactly. And Ubisoft, they there's another game they also unveiled below, and we'll talk about it. But, like, there's a long plan for this franchise, right? As a whole, very much for the next 9 years, we'll be living Avatar every few years, drip feed. But, like, it feels like it's not I wouldn't say hoard out, but really, like, right, like, not everyone can grab a piece of the Avatar pie. They're picking and choosing who gets to eat from their table, and provide that downwards to us to consume. So I think that's very interesting. And this trailer in our show notes, you can take a look. It looks fun. It looks cool. I think I hope they really have this feature where you can just click like, you can jump off a tree and click a button and it calls your mount to you. So, like, you're free falling and you land on your mount kind of thing. I think that would be really cool.
They did show a skill tree, so that could be something you unlock from a skill tree.
Yeah, absolutely. So check it out. It's in our show notes. It looked to be single player. You can actually pre-order this also, I believe, and it said, like, you get some free skins and, like, for your stuff. Like, it's fine.
The only skin I need is blue, Chris.
That's right.
It's the only skin I need.
I think this could also make a fun multiplayer game, like humans versus Na'vi, but we'll see if they even include that down the road. Seems to be very isolated. On the flip side, another isolated game from Ubisoft is actually for Star Wars, Mike, this week. The Star Wars Outlaws, we talked a little bit last week, but they gave us the first gameplay for this open world, and this game looks wild. Like, literally running around, doing as much open world stuff as you can with this. With your character sneaking, stealthy, upgrading stuff. You have a robot in a jacket with you.
Yeah. Are you playing a particular protagonist, or is there like a character creator where you're making your own?
You play Kay. Her name is Kay Vess, is her name, and she has the droid Nix. No, Nix is the little dude. I forget who the droid's name is in the jacket. He's one of the battle droids, but it seems to be very kind of stealth based, right? Like,
okay, Now you have to help me, though, and tell me, where does this take place timeline-wise, because I don't know.
I'm sure they've said right here, set between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. So between 4 and 5, actually, or 5 and 6. So yeah. So this is kind of like I would guess maybe height of the Empire, if you will, like in the galaxy, rather than fighting the remnants or, like, dealing with their scraps.
Like, it would be an Empire at their most paranoid in a way, because they already lost one Death Star, now they're building another one.
Yeah, and then if you watch there's a lot of characters. It's very hyper detailed Star Wars. This world looks lived in. There's bars, cantinas, a scrapper yard, a lot more going on than you would think it was. So I recommend everyone. It's a 10-minute gameplay thing, and you get to see ship flying, everything kind of going on here, and on PlayStation. So it's actually running. It's working. It's not like a pre-rendered video, if you will, right? So I think that's the cool part of it, and it'll be out next year, coming from Ubisoft. So I had a really good time playing and completing Jedi Fallen Order. So to see Outlaws be so polished and have, like, a very story driven, right? Not feature driven. I think that's even better at the end of the day. So cross our fingers there. And then also in the Star Wars world, this is a fun rumor, and I was going to get your opinion on it. Is that Dave Filoni's movie Heir to the Empire, right? It's tentatively titled. Alden Ehrenreich is rumored to return as Han Solo for this movie.
Okay, I mean,
I don't think he was the problem of that last movie. I think that had other problems, not him. So
yeah, I'm trying to go. How do I feel about this? How do I feel about this? I mean, I guess it could be fun. I mean, it feels a little bit. I don't know. Does it feel risky or not? Like, are we?
Oh, I think it's really risky, but
like, are we bogging down like Filoni's entire kind of original character universe in a way, just to kind of throw in a legacy character, which we thought we were done with?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting because we don't know. At this point, I don't know what Han Solo did between Return of the Jedi and what The Force Awakens, right? Where we find him and he's lost his ship. Him and Chewie are out, taking things like, is this the movie where the ship gets stolen or lost from him? Kind of thing, and he's in there for a little bit. I don't know. I don't want him to be the main protagonist, but having him not be around since he was quote unquote like, was he a general in the army? Like for the
I thought he
rebellion?
was like kind of. I thought he was kind of more just like an infantryman, is what I thought. But I feel like it was easier to imagine another actor as Han Solo when it was like young Han Solo, right? Yeah. So if Alden Ehrenreich is supposed to come back and be a kind of young Harrison Ford after the original Star Wars, I feel like the suspension of disbelief has to work a little bit harder for that. Even though I know I feel like I am slightly contradicting myself saying that, because I said they shouldn't have deep faked Luke and they should have just let a normal actor do that. But I guess that's slightly different.
Maybe they age him up a bit. Maybe they don't make him look as young as he did in Solo. It could work. I don't know. I mean, this is an interesting rumor because like it invokes two different emotions. I'm like, oh, that's cool. They're gonna have Han Solo back, right? But at the same time, I was like, it's not the Harrison Ford Han Solo. So it kind of goes both ways for me. But I guess we'll see. Maybe we'll get some news later this year because also in Disney they gave us release dates for the upcoming Star Wars movies. No titles associated with this, but we have a one for May 22nd, 2026. We have a December 18th, 2026, and a December 17th, 2027. So alternating a little bit there with Avatar in the December realm. But we haven't had two Star Wars movies in the same year since Solo, or within a year since Solo. And I think this is the good direction to go, right? From May to December, 7 months, rather than the other way. Like December to May feels very quick turnaround. So this feels hopefully a little different to have a mainline story for Star Wars, and then maybe the Dave Filoni version in May. So
we'll see. I'm nervous.
But yeah, so we have again Heir to the Empire. We have the original. Was it the original? I guess the Origin of the Force movie with James Mangold, and then Star Wars 10 as well. So in the works. So we got a lot of Star Wars coming. Hopefully, again, maybe the delay can cause quality. Maybe we'll see. I did not get to watch Extraction 2 this weekend, Mike. I'm very disappointed in myself because of the Netflix To Dumb feature or event this weekend. They announced Extraction 3 already. So
we haven't had time yet. We liked the first one. Yeah. I think we kind of said it felt like a video game
Call of Duty,
into a live action film. And then I've seen similar headlines for reviews of the second one. Like it's essentially just a Call of Duty movie. And it's like, well, that's what we liked about the first one.
Yeah, I've heard the second one is better. They wrote the first one and then got Sam Hargrave to direct. The second one they wrote to Sam Hargrave's directing capabilities. But I believe it's Joe Russo of the Russo brothers. He just shouldn't be writing these, is what I've heard. Like, just let an actual writer write the movie and let you produce. But the third one, Chris Hemsworth will return as Jake Extraction. I assume that's his name in the movie. And Sam Hargrave will return as the director. So awesome, great. Netflix doing a trilogy for real, man. That's awesome. I've not had anything good come out of that in a while. So I'm excited to watch Extraction 2.
The live action movies on Netflix they're usually at best case just completely average, worst case scenario garbage. They premiered a trailer for kind of like a spy thriller starring Gal Gadot. I think it's called like Heart of Stone or something like that. The trailer is just so... The trailer's boring. If the trailer's boring, like, how is the movie going to grab you? It just seems like incredibly generic, like, spy thriller movie. So I guess go get your paycheck, Gal Gadot. But I don't think anyone's going to remember this
hopefully
film.
they cut a better trailer later.
Yeah, I mean, it does share DNA of a producer that worked on The Old Guard, which was surprising, and I liked that movie. And I don't think that trailer convinced me when I originally watched it. So maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. But Extraction 3, that could be fun.
Yeah, I hopefully I don't need an Extraction 4. We don't need a Mission Impossible franchise out of these Extraction movies. But the fact that we're getting 3, that's pretty solid in my book overall. Some Jimmies were rustled this weekend, Mike, but not in a bad way. Avatar: The Last Airbender, the live action. Is this a series? Or it's a show, right? Not a movie.
Yeah, I believe it's a series.
The photos of the cast, the main 4 cast, Aang, Katara, is that Sokka, and Zuko, were released on Netflix. And I'll tell you what, I don't care. Honestly, this is not my cup of tea. But I will tell you, the little kid Aang looks just like the kid from the M. Night Shyamalan one. So I'm like, this is all you can do with it. I get it, but it looks the same.
Yeah, that's the hard thing to get over, right? Like, lots of the original creators are still involved in this, not directly, but they're kind of producers of a larger Avatar studio that this falls under. Everyone has to know that they have to do better than what Shyamalan did back in the day. But yeah, when you see characters look visually similar, but like you said, that just could be... That's what happens when you translate a cartoon to live action. They're only going to look so different on the second try around. So we just got to hope the content is better. So everything looks good, but I mean, I got to imagine when they did the first look images of the live action movie, people obviously were up in arms over the diversity of most of the casting, right? But at least the visuals seem to be mostly on point. It was during the execution of the film. So I'm extremely nervous for this. And the next trailer we're going to talk about did not make me feel better about what this is going to look like.
So Avatar is coming in 2024, just so you know. You can check out the link and everything. To me, Aang is like is so close to the other one. But the other ones, I'm happy they were able to have casts that look like the characters were supposed to look like. But still, photos can only get you so far, right? I want to see some action. You get to see Katara water bending a little bit, but like it's all about the elements and the bending. So let's get to that. But yes, one of the longest running animes ever, almost as long as Pokemon, if not longer, is One Piece, and Netflix is live action creating One Piece. And I don't know if it looks like a series, not a movie, because most of this trailer looks like it comes from the first episode. And I don't know what a One Piece is or what it does. I just know that this one guy, he has stretchy arms, and they do it at the end. They do the one stretchy arm thing, but like, woof.
Yeah, we got to throw the big caveat up here. We are not the people to talk about this at all. I'm familiar with the anime and the manga, but I have barely watched or read any of it. I just know about it because it's so iconic, right? I know it's supposed to be goofy, cartoony in a way, but also serious, just like all animes do. So I can see they're trying to accomplish that, but like the trailer for this show makes it look so cheap. Mm-hmm. Like everything looks so like budget friendly. They're in environments that seem so empty, where like they couldn't even take the time to like throw up like just random like barrels, just when you're in like a piratey kind of castle.
You're in a
like
square
the set
space.
Dressing.
Like you're not just walls and what looked like he's in like a stock or something like that. Like he was.
Yeah,
I'm like there's gonna be more here.
Yeah, it just seems like all of the charm has been sucked out of it. And like, I'm sure that, they're obviously trying to adapt cartoon characters just like we talked about in the last section. And I'm not familiar with the characters like we just mentioned, but there is this one female character that's just in like a white t-shirt and pink hair and like black pants. And I'm like, I think that's what the character looks like in the manga and anime, but like translating that 1-to-1, it just looks like really cheap cosplay. Like, oh, I'm going to a con this weekend. What's the easiest thing I can put on? Oh, I'll put on this white T-shirt. So, like, I don't know what's happening here either, Chris.
Well, I would say One Piece has a very unique visual style, right? Like, when I see a One Piece character, I'm like, I know exactly what I'm looking at here, and it's mostly like, their designs, like the One Piece, what's his name? Is it like Luffy is like the main character's name or something?
Yeah, I think it's Luffy or Luffy or something like that.
He's got the red shirt, and he's got like the scar on his chest, and his eyes are like wide open compared to like every other anime characters. Like, guys, I'm like, oh, I get it. Like, this guy doesn't really, the translation doesn't feel there. But yeah, I'm kind of looking at some of the artwork. I'm like, is there just piece, like, apparently that one girl is just normally wears a bikini top and low-rise shorts, so maybe the white shirt's a way to PG it a little bit more. But I don't know what I'm watching. I need to look more into this, but it's dropping August 31st, Mike, on Netflix, so 2023.
Yeah. If this isn't an attempt to bring in the masses to the One Piece universe, I don't think this trailer's doing it. But
I lived through the live action Dragon Ball movie, so I'm still burned on that from decades ago. So hopefully people who are fans of this are enjoying it. I'm not here to bring you down and tell you what not to enjoy. Hopefully this is something you're enjoying and you're happy with the translation.
Yeah, so. From a slightly educated outsider's perspective, though.
Yeah, not for us.
This ain't hitting for me.
No. Stranger Things Season 5, Linda Hamilton is joining the cast. Linda Hamilton, as you may remember, is Sarah Connor from the Terminator movies. She doesn't do much acting, so this is great. I think she plays such a hard ass, so hopefully maybe she'll play like a Sarah Connor kind of character in this.
I'm envisioning possibly like a high-up governmental agent. The Upside Down has finally revealed itself to the world in a way where it's no longer just the kids that know about it. So maybe she's like the lead general that's trying to isolate Hawkins.
I would love for her to be like someone who's been there and like has like fought through it before in like a different part of the world, and like she's like battle hardened a little bit. Like I don't know, maybe, but that's good casting. I think that'll be fun. So Stranger Things Season 5, they are working on it. It's the final season, right? Season 5 is the final one. So looks like they're going to be pulling out all the stops. Lastly, Mortal Kombat 2 news, Mike. They've gone ahead and announced some more cast, the final round out the cast, including characters such as Shao Kahn, King Gerard, Queen Sindel, and Quan Chi. And Deadline has gone on record and said that most of the main characters from the first movie, even ones who appeared killed off, will return. So maybe we'll get more of the Australian, what's his guy with the laser eye?
What was it?
Oh
Jax?
my gosh!
No, not Jax.
But you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, maybe we'll get more of him. He was funny in that one. So, I don't know. Again, Carl Urban is supposed to be Johnny Cage in this, and the two actresses from the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina playing not Sindel, Jade and Katana. So hopefully we actually get a Mortal Kombat going forward, Mike. I want to see some actual
Kano. Kano, that was the guy's name.
Kano. We also had a little bit of a Goro. They also said my it's funny. They're like, oh, even Louis Tan will reappear as his like custom character created for the movie. And everyone's like, boo. Like it's not him. It's just like the character wasn't very fun. So I'm excited for some Mortal Kombat 2 movie news with the new game Mortal Kombat 1 coming out. This will not be confusing, I swear, going forward. But anyway, so that's cool. Well, that is all 28 bullet points for this week, Mike. We made it through in record time here, even with you killing so much time talking about Fast and Furious. But it's a pretty good week full of news there in the Flash, and we'll be back next week. But if people know what you're up to, what you're doing, where can they find you at?
Well, as always, you can find me at Mike Royer Design on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. You can read my webcomic at liferewardsrisk.com. Chris, if people want to catch up with you, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Valdan87, or Xbox Valdan, and anywhere else on those game systems. If people want to know more about the show, listen to our Flash review. We also mark spoilers, so you don't have to get ruined. Where can they listen to all those good episodes at?
Head on over to superheroslate.com. That is the home headquarters for everything Superhero Slate, where you can get our awesome show notes. So if you want to see all of the things that we talked about this week, all of the blue links of the trailers and the first looks. We got that all in our show notes at superheroslate.com. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you live to listen to fine podcasts. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, merch at superheroslate.com/store. We love hearing from you. Please reach out. Let us know what you think. Do you think you're going to survive to 2031 so you can see that final Avatar movie?
That's morbid. Thank you.
I hope you can. But let us know. We love our super fans. So if you are a super fan and you want to be a super fan, all you got to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy. We'll be here every week, folks.
That's right. And we'll catch you guys next week.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.